In the previous video, we explored the genre of alternate history, those stories where Germany supposedly won World War II. We discussed how Hollywood reduces Nazism to empty symbols, swastikas, goose-stepping soldiers, slogans. We noted that it often depicts racism, but conveniently ignores the deeper essence of Nazism, totalitarianism, the cult of the leader, the system in which freedom disappears for everyone. But episodes 6 and 7 of Peacemaker Season 2 added something new to the conversation. They showed us what America on Earth X actually looks like from the inside. And what we saw was not more terrifying than our world, but disturbingly familiar. And that, precisely, is the danger. Earth X America is disturbingly normal. In episode 7, we see Blue Dragon confronted by the police. The audience braces for brutality. After all, this is a Nazi world. Surely the police will storm in, arrest him, beat him, abuse their power. But what happens next?
Come on, it's just a matter of time. It won't take long until the judge issues us a warrant, and then we're gonna be right back.
Then, kid, get your warrant.
Well, if your son is innocent, wouldn't it just be better?
I never said he was innocent. But he ain't here. So you're not coming into my house. Now get off my porch, all of you. Get back up off my property and into the street.
Instead, the police are turned away because they don't have a warrant, and they leave. Think about this. So-called Nazi America, where police still need warrants, where due process exists, where citizens still have legal protections. That's not how Nazism works. That's not dictatorship. That looks like our America. Freedom that still exists, but in this case, only for the right people. As the story develops, we see more. Earth X isn't shown as a caricature of dictatorship or as a nightmare dystopia. It's a society where institutions work. The police, the courts, the laws. Everything seems honest and efficient. The only difference? Rights and freedoms apply exclusively to white citizens. For the right kind of person, this world doesn't feel oppressive. It feels safe. It feels orderly. In fact, it may look better than the real world. No crime, no chaos. Everything working as intended, and the viewer, even unconsciously, may begin to think, wait a second, maybe this really does work? And here lies the most dangerous problem. The showrunners didn't create a dystopia, they created a hidden utopia. A Nazi world that doesn't look like horror, it looks like an improved America, as long as you're in the right category. But historically, this is impossible. Nazism in Germany was never just racism. It was total control. It was concentration camps, censorship, surveillance, the cult of the Führer. Yes, in Peacemaker, concentration camps are mentioned. But, and this is critical only in words, the audience never sees them. No barbed wire, no crematoria, no brutality. It all remains off-screen, treated like an irrelevant detail. What the viewer does see is the clean storefront, functioning courts, lawful police, neat streets, and that storefront overshadows the words. The result, a world where Nazism looks civilized and all the horror is hidden out of sight. That's not critique, that's accidental justification. Then comes something even more absurd. At the end of episode 6 and the beginning of episode 7, we see an entire neighborhood chasing down a black woman intending to kill her. A scene of open racial violence. Brutal. Inarguable.
A few moments later.
The sad part is, I'm not so sure this Nazi world is as different from our own world as we wish it was.
Damn straight.
Excuse me, what? In our world, her mother, Amanda Waller, a black woman, was the former head of one of the most powerful intelligence agencies in America, a woman of enormous influence and authority. On Earth X, her daughter is nearly lynched by a mob simply for being black. This isn't similarity. This is the opposite, and yet the script has her say it's basically the same. That isn't drama. That's a lazy political slogan dressed up as storytelling. And this reveals the core problem. Hollywood can't handle serious themes without turning them into caricature. Nazism becomes a symbol. racism becomes a line of dialogue. Instead of genuine analysis, the audience is handed a muddled message. Yes, mobs lynch people here, but is it really worse than modern America? That doesn't expose dictatorship. It blurs the line between free society and authoritarian nightmare. It trivializes both history and the present. To understand how absurd this is, let's recall real history. In the United States, segregation existed until the 1960s. Jim Crow laws restricted Black Americans, but they still had the ability to organize, to protest, to fight for civil rights, and they did successfully. In South Africa, apartheid placed power in the hands of a white minority. But even there, the system required violence and dictatorship to maintain itself. In Nazi Germany, racism was never separate from dictatorship. Racial laws led directly to concentration camps, Gestapo terror, censorship, and the total mobilization of society. There has never been a world where the right people lived free under racism, while everyone else was persecuted. Racism at the state level always demands dictatorship, which makes Earth X, as presented in Peacemaker, a historical lie. And here's the essential truth. Racism, like any legalized inequality or persecution, is not a system in itself. It is a symptom of dictatorship. It cannot exist in a vacuum. If one group is denied rights, the state must use violence, censorship, and control to maintain that division. Dictatorships don't divide people into the free and the oppressed. Over time, they turn everyone into subjects of the system, even the so-called privileged. So showing Nazism as freedom for the right people is not only wrong, it is profoundly dangerous. Now let's talk politics. When Hollywood and the Western left push the narrative that America, the freest country in the world, is just as oppressive as Nazism, they don't win sympathy. They drive people away. This kind of exaggeration is precisely why all kinds of right-wing populists gain popularity. When ordinary people are told America is no better than Earth X, they recoil. They turn to populists for protection from the madness. In fact, this narrative fueled all kinds of right-wingers, including the worst of them, as they never could do it by themselves. When real America is portrayed as worse than a fictional dystopia, people respond with protest, with anger, and with votes for whoever promises to push back. So Hollywood thinks it's fighting extremism, but in reality, it's fueling it. Instead of analyzing, Hollywood offers a fake utopia for some and a false equivalence for others. And the audience walks away with two equally false impressions: that Nazism can look civilized and functional, and that the United States today is basically no different. That is not education. That is self-sabotage. The line delivered by the character after the chase scene isn't just weak writing. It's the entire problem condensed into one sentence. The showrunners mention concentration camps only in dialogue, but never show them. Meanwhile, they put the camera on the clean storefront, laws, order, institutions that work. The audience sees not horror, but order. And that order is far more persuasive than words. This isn't critique of Nazism, it's normalization. And that's why this conversation about alternate history has to continue. Because while Hollywood plays with dead symbols of the past, real threats inside and outside of America are rising once again. The problem isn't just Peacemaker. It's a culture industry that confuses slogans with truth. And the longer it does, the more it feeds the very forces it claims to fight. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next video.